So I'm going to be talking about parent functions and their transformations. And I'm going to start by just going over each parent function. So the first one is the constant function. Which would be something like f of x equals c, where c is a number and it's constant. So the domain is the set of all real numbers, and the range is going to be whatever that value c is. And it would look, a little quick sketch, there's your x and your y, something like that, if that's c. I don't like it with the arrows on them. It's confusing. There we go. And then the second one is going to be the identity function. You also know it as the linear function. F of x equals x, where the domain is all real numbers, or negative infinity to infinity, and the range is also all real numbers. It's called the identity because it's the one where all the others come from. So all the rest of them will be operations on the identity function. There it is. And then the third one is the quadratic function. F of x equals x to the second power, where the domain is all real numbers because it exists everywhere left to right, but the range will only be from 0, including 0, to infinity. And you have a parabola. All right. After quadratic, the next unit you covered in Algebra 2 should have been the cubic function, probably. Which is f of x equals x to the third power. And your domain is all real numbers. And your range is also all real numbers because you can have a negative result when you take something to an odd power. So this one, it's kind of like that. These aren't very exact graphs, they're just representations. Especially that bottom part, I can't leave it. Let's do that. That's a little better, not really. And then the square root function is my graph number 5. We have the square root function, where f of x equals the square root of x. So then the domain is from 0 to infinity, and the range is also from 0 to infinity. All right, and that's it with a dot and 0, 0. After square root, we have the reciprocal function, and it's the reciprocal of the identity. So that's Roman numeral 6. Reciprocal function. So f of x equals 1 over x. And for this that's when the domain is going to be from negative infinity to 0, but not including 0, in union with 0, not included, to infinity, because of the vertical asymptote at 0. And the range is the same because of the horizontal asymptote at 0. All right, so it looks something like this. So there's the reciprocal function. And then the absolute value function is next. So we have f of x equals the absolute value of x. And the domain is going to be all real numbers. So you can have negatives or positives, doesn't matter for the domain. But the result will be, at the very least, 0, and then positive from there. Because the absolute value of 0 is 0. Absolute value of negative 1 is 1, so everything will be positive. And the absolute value has a slope of 1 in each direction, positive and negative. And then next we have, this one may or may not be new. I don't know. The type of function it is a step function, but we're specifically looking at the greatest integer function.
You're so cringe.
That's facts.
I'm sorry.
So we have the greatest integer function, and it is a step function. That is the type of function that it is. And it's given by f of x equals, and you have these brackets with an extra line in it for integer of x. And the domain is all real numbers because the domain is covered. There's a y value for every x value, which means it's a function. But the range is y such that y is an element of the set of integers.
Yeah, that's definitely.
All right, so this is a z. And then there's another line, kind of like the all real numbers are,
Yeah, it's like a 3D Z.
but with another line. And then there's
Is that an E?
backwards.
It's a euro.
Yes.
There you go.
What does that mean?
That's why I'm going to go over it again. It's the set y, and then this line, such that y is an element of integers. Z with two lines is the set of integers. So like we have the set of all real numbers, and it's this R with two lines. Y'all know that one. Z with two lines is integers. Yes, question?
So you said y is such that y is an element of
Integers.
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 So zero is just.
So that's why it creates steps, because it's not the decimal numbers, it's just the integer values. So at 0, when x is 0, y is 0, and when x is 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, y is still 0, and then when you get to x is 1, you have an open dot, and you're going to step up to y is 1. And then when x is 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, all the way 1.9, when you get to 2, you have an open dot. When x is 2, y is 2. But y's are only integers. They're not in nothing, no decimals, no fractions, nothing in between. Just integers.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't know you couldn't see mine.
Be just a straight line up.
All right, so I did it. It was 3x squared. So if I was graphing x squared that's been stretched by 3, it's 0,
it's
0.
curved. I thought it was a straight line up.
Oh, no, it's just because from here and then
Yeah,
over 1 and
okay.
up 3, so that's the curvy part of the parabola, and the rest of it's pretty straight. So it is pretty straight, but
Okay, I thought it was going straight up. And I was wondering why.